she dies, and I can't say welcome back. I mean, welcome back to consorts. We're done. Kataboshi, Natsumi's story. Is that a happy ending? Everyone's happy. I guess besides Tomoe since she died, but maybe she's chilling in heaven. So I think that before we even start a big new arc, I think we're actually gonna do police files now. So don't know how long that'll be, but yeah. We were gonna do it before, but it recommends doing Yadoishi, Sumitsushi, and Tadaboshi first, so let's check it out. Prologue, epilogue scenes. These are short scenes that appear at the beginning and end of 3 major sets of arcs. They should be read in order, only after finishing them. Alright. So the first one is about Anotatashi, Watanashi, Totorigoroshi, and Somatsushi. So the cursed Natsumi thing. Sure, why not? Is it just tips? I guess it made sense if it's just tips. Okay. Tip time. Wait. Okay, so this is the Somatsushi. This is the Kaidoboshi. And this is the Yadoishi one, I think. So this is before it. And before Anotatashi, Watanashi, and Totorigoroshi. In the far corner of my consciousness, I heard the sound of someone snoring. When I realized it was coming from me, I chased the grogginess away and slowly opened my eyes. Bidoishi POV. Right before my eyes, I found a fluorescent light shining down on me from a lightly stained ceiling. Though I only planned to take a short rest in the break room, apparently I fell all the way asleep. I must have slept in a weird position. I felt a dull ache in my shoulders and my temple. Well, if I leave it alone for a while, the blood will flow. The blood flow will get back to normal, and I'll probably start feeling better. A yawn leaked out as I raised my upper body and squeezed at the back of my neck. The short hand on the clock was pointing straight up, and a single cigarette was lying in the ashtray on the table, burnt down to the butt. I had no memory of smoking it, but maybe I needed one before falling asleep. If I had somehow dropped it on the sofa, it could have started a fire. Yep, don't smoke inside, boys. Unless you have an ashtray, but I guess he did. Don't smoke while you're sleepy. I rose to my feet with an ashtray in hand, and I smiled bitterly and thought to myself, then dumped the ashes in the cigarette bin in the corner of the room. Also, I'm glad. I thought, just seeing the books, I thought it was just gonna be us reading like a report, but it is like a little scene. A myriad of cigarette butts were piled on top of the murky water inside the can. The pungent aroma quickly forced a grimace along my face. Thanks to that smell, my drowsiness was all but gone. Starting tomorrow. Well, about that. No, the clock says the date has already changed, so starting today, I guess. But the urges might keep me up at night in the future, tossing me the precious opportunity to cool my head. However, it would still be better for my health than spending major chunks of my time doing nothing and not thinking about anything. Though the habit is so deeply ingrained in me that I doubt I'd be able to quit. It'd be nice to have something else I can enjoy as much as eating, sleeping, and getting into fights. I chuckled at the mental image of myself standing in the dirt, working the fields. It's such a helpless story, even though I'm scheduled to depart next week, I still haven't put much thought into it. The unforgettable landscapes of the countryside around Otonomiya was etched into my mind. It's been so long since I've visited my mother that I can't think of what her area looks like now. but they're in the planning stages for a large-scale airport that should open in a few years. Is this? This isn't the airport that wait, sorry, I'm lost. I don't know where her mother's from. But this isn't the airport that, Tomoe's dad killed, right? I mean, it can't be. Never mind, I'm stupid. I thought, like, maybe it could happen since so much sushi happens in the future, but no, it literally doesn't make any sense. Actually, wait, does it make sense? Wait, when did their dad die? No, it doesn't make sense because they're building the airport now, and the dad died a while ago. Never mind, I'm dumb. Classic. Besides, I'll be busy looking after my aging mother. That ought to kill plenty of time. I've been blessed with a strong body and living my life as I please for a long time, with little regard for my parents. They say divine punishment befalls those who don't respect their parents. I muttered the words swirling around inside my head while picking up one of the thick files sitting on the desk in front of me, and looked at the title on the cover. The Series of Deaths and Disappearances in Hinamizawa. If divine punishment truly exists, there's probably no greater example of it than this. It's difficult to evaluate using human understanding and beyond the realm of comprehension. Officially known as the Hinamizawa district of Shishabone City. A village of around 2,000 people, where the power of the mayor and the public authorities pale in comparison to the three great families, who effectively ruled the area since ancient times. Well, the mayor is part of the three great families, but I get it. And the faith in their local god Oyashiro-sama, that the residents have passed down through generations, along with the curse said to have befallen non-believers in recent years. But it's all gone now, and the people who left behind have been scattered around the surrounding area. And it all began in the cases summarized in these files. Well. The one bad thing about spring is allergy season. They're already hitting me, so. Sorry, have some ASMR. I'm sorry. Okay, let's see the epilogue. When shit hit the fan, basically. Oh, this is a wish you just finished reading the files. Oh, I guess maybe the files. No, I mean it couldn't be the arts because they're in different universes. Never mind. Probably just the normal stuff. After reading the last case in the file, I closed the cover and suddenly turned to gaze out the window. The eastern sky was clearly visible, and the morning sun was pouring in through the gaps between the blinds. I was planning to stop after a quick look, but I just kept reading on. Is this some pathetic occupational disorder? At any rate, today's the last day I'll be involved, so maybe I just have a few lingering regrets. It's truly unfortunate, the sheer number of lives lost, and even the people who survived were driven mad. And it's a personal tragedy for me, too. Rip, Kumagai, he died. In this universe, sometimes he doesn't die. Sometimes they both die. When I closed my eyes, a vision of my energetic subordinate detective suddenly floated to mind. I happened to be called in to Prefectural Police Headquarters on urgent business the day when the disaster struck, so he went to Hinamizawa in my place. Rip. Of course, I wasn't directing that abuse toward him. It was targeted at myself. We went to Hinamizawa to take care of something I wanted to do, and he defied orders from above to do it. Getting injured and dying while working a case is an occupational hazard in this line of duty, and I probably would have welcomed it. But it was different in his case. In other words, it feels like he died in my place. Actually, just luck. To speak those words was an insult to the dead. Even I understood that, but I just couldn't help muttering it. A young man with a family and a promising future has departed this world, and his death only highlighted the disgrace of my life. Was it just luck that allowed me to live as long as I have? Or did the ones pulling the strings behind everything believe I wasn't worthy of killing? It's a complicated question. I think it's actually just luck, right? Just circumstantial stuff. It's not like Tatano really wanted to kill Oishi, just stumbled on the wrong time in the middle of the plan. I suddenly looked up toward the heavens and spat those words out. In reality, I'm retreating from this line of work without learning anything. The truth is still in the darkness. I could hear the jeering voices of those people whose faces I didn't know, and suddenly began to clench my fists. For now, the best I can do is remember, to absolutely never forget this incident, and keep it locked away in the corner of my heart. At any rate, today is my last day as a detective. Naturally, it would be rude to stand up before my peers, looking shabby and filthy as they see me off on my final day. As I thought that, I bundled the massive set of files together and returned to my seat in the Criminal Investigation Division. Then I grabbed the locker key out of my desk drawer and turned toward the shower room. Oh my god. Just then, an electronic beeping echoed out of the phone on the desk, aka a ringtone, and the extension light was lit up. I guess maybe back in the day I wasn't told that actually, now that I think about it. When I noticed the call was directed specifically to my desk, I lifted the receiver and pushed the button. I heard a junior detective on the other end of the phone. That's right, he should be on night duty today. He sounded a little surprised that I was still here. Well, veteran detectives do head out pretty early in the morning, so it's natural for him to be confused. Yo, Akasaka! This their meeting? Their meeting to make their book or just form the team in general? I tilted my head for a moment and quickly remembered. Wasn't he the elite investigator from Tokyo who worked with me on a case a while back? Good grief, I can't remember someone right after hearing their name. I guess the old age is kicking in. And shortly thereafter, I heard a familiar voice coming through the receiver.
Oh, Akasaka-san. 懐かしいですね。何年ぶりでしょうか。
5年ぶりです。あの時は本当にお世話になりました。
いやいや、そんなことは。大してお役にも立てませんでしたからね。
そんなことはありません。おかげで目的を果たすことができましたし、それ以上にたくさんのことを教わりました。ありがとうございます。
やめてくださいよ。そんなことを言われ続けてると、おだてられて舞い上がった豚が木に登っちゃいますよ。
Although I tried to downplay it, until now I've been working in an industry that surrounded me in lies and human deception, so it was comforting to hear someone speak so earnestly. It was actually quite pleasant. A man like him is destined to do great things if he continues down this career path.
して赤坂さん、今日はどんなご用件で？
もちろん、お祝いのご挨拶です
The
よ。
retirement.
勤続
Nice.
40年超えのお勤め、お
That
疲れ様
must
でし
be
た。
nice, man. Some guy you worked with like once a while.
あ
The
あ、
camaraderie.
これは、どうもご丁寧に。よくご存知でしたね。誰からお聞きになったんです？
そちらの公安課の本田屋さんからです。先週の合同研修の際に教えていただきまして。
ああ、なるほどなるほど。そういうことですか。
ああ、いろいろとお話をお伺いしました。連絡が今日まで遅くなってしまって、本当に申し訳ありません。
It has been a
お
while.
気遣い痛み入ります。
Handaya probably also told him that one of my subordinates died while investigating the Hinamizawa case. Of course, there's no reason for Akasaka-san to apologize, nor did I have one to reproach him, not at all. Still, it must have filled him with regret when he found out. He probably wishes he could have helped sooner and found me some useful intel. And the same goes for me. One more thing to regret. Right after the disaster occurred, I was terrified of getting anyone else involved. After all, I didn't want anyone else to end up like Kumadai. But as a result, no progress was ever made on the Hinamizawa investigation, and it will probably end with my retirement. It's so incomprehensible, so horrible, and when faced with an opponent like that, I can't accomplish anything on my own. I should have asked for help.
そんなわけですから、大石さん。私も本日はそちらにお邪魔させていただきます。部外者の分際で申し訳ありませんが、どうかよろしくお願いします。
いやいや、ひょっとして赤坂さん、わざわざ東京からですか？そんな、申し訳ないです。まったく、こんなおっさんがいなくなるだけで、みんな大げさすぎますよ。ね。
何をおっしゃるんですか。この程度では、とても受けたご恩をお返ししたことにはなりません。どうかこれからも、いろいろとご鞭撻いただきたいので、末永いお付き合いをお願いします。
赤坂さん。
Such a kind young man. No, I've already done enough to disrespect him. Still, he was walking the long road on a path full of back-breaking work and little things. People like that get a little sympathy, but I was truly proud I had the opportunity to know him. That's it. If he's involved, maybe he can do it. The answer I couldn't reach on my own, finding the truth behind this mystery.
赤坂さん、もしよろしければ、ち
Yo,
ょいと今夜、相談に乗っ
it's
てもら
the
っても
beginning of the team up. I may just be causing him grief, but even so, if a glimmer of hope is out there, I have to reach for it. And you might say they don't actually accomplish anything, but as you see in Kadaboshi, even though they couldn't solve the mystery, they did save at least one Hinamizawa life, and maybe more, potentially. Okay, that was nice, I guess. Next one, this one's after Kadaboshi. Or, I guess this one's technically before, but this focuses around the Kadaboshi arc. I think. Summer 2006. No, yep, this is Kadaboshi. Once I finished organizing the material for handoff, I arched my back and stretched my arms out, then felt a light sense of relief.
さすがに結構な分量だったな。それにしても、随分と便利になったものだ。
As I gazed at the laptop sitting on my desk, I let out a sigh. Crime scene reports detailing every single case. Various manuals and regulations detailing processing steps. Other public security laws and government ordinances. In the old days, it was necessary to browse through the documents in thick files anytime you wanted to investigate someone. But now you can see everything right away by performing a few simple operations on a machine the size of a sheet of paper. Not only that, but the time it takes to search through this information has been massively shortened thanks to the database we set up. I'm grateful for that. The files were still lined up in the shelves in front of us, but as a result, they've been sitting there collecting dust. And the digitization of records wasn't the only thing that changed with the times. My job responsibility and my surroundings were constantly changing, sometimes very suddenly. Naturally, I struggled to keep up with the flow of change.
私が校長か。柄ではないんだけどな。
In keeping with the recent trend towards structural reform, the Metropolitan Police Department's Public Security Division was given a large-scale reorganization earlier this year. And starting next spring, I'm going to be the principal of the police academy. Nevertheless, I was completely shocked when I received the letter a few days ago notifying me of the change. The number of positions dwindles as you approach the top of the pyramid, so I wasn't planning to stay in the field of public security forever. But I expected I'd end up in but I never expected I'd end up in a teaching position. What the heck? Surprise Miyuki?
お父さんは今まで働きすぎだったから、そろそろ少しは休みなさいってね。
Indeed, I smiled bitterly as I thought back on what my daughter told me. I haven't been working as fervently as some of my superiors and colleagues, but she certainly saw it that way. But public safety ordinances prevent me from telling my family the details of the work I do. As a result, my daughter has built up exaggerated expectations based on the stories she's heard from the media.
この第7資料室の公開もあと数ヶ月か。
There's the reference again, 7th records room. And then I'll never see it again. I thought it was such a drab sight when I first took office here, but now I'm sad to see it go. This room is a treasure trove of history, detailing all the conflicts my colleagues and I fought and challenged together. Some were able to overcome adversity and find truth. However, there are many where we struggled to find clues until the end, and many unresolved incidents that were regrettably interrupted before they could be finished.
その中の一つがこれだな。
I used the keyboard and mouse to navigate through the authentication system, then opened up the case file for one particular incident. Oh my god, it's the knee-paw incident. The documents detailed an incident that happened in a remote village in the Chubu region, the Hinamiza disaster. Great Hinamiza disaster. I missed it too fast. That's okay. We got the gist. And we epilogue here.
これだ。全部。
As I finished looking through the files, I let out a depressing sigh. After all, despite all the time I spent investigating, I'm still not closer to revealing the mysteries behind the Great Hinamiza disaster. And I'll soon be stepping away from investigating the mystery entirely.
情けない。
Even though I so enthusiastically swore I'd be able to accomplish it, this was the end result. Such a powerful start, but such an anticlimactic conclusion. I can't even muster a scornful smile.
すまない、
Rika.
リカちゃん。
I muttered one more apology to the girl who was no longer with us. If the incident hadn't happened back then, she probably would have grown to become a beautiful woman. And she could have been living a happy life with her family. Well, she didn't really have a family to begin with, so it doesn't really matter, but, you know, pseudo-family. It could have been a glorious future filled with endless possibilities. But no matter how many excuses I tried to make, I wasn't able to help her. I was too powerless, too insensitive to prevent that chain of tragedies. Of course, no amount of scathing self-loathing would ever be able to change anything. It was all over already.
やっぱりここにいた。
Oh, shot. Who's this? Tomoe? Oh, no, it's Miyuki.
探しましたよ、お父さん。あ、いえ。赤坂警視正。
Took me a second. It kind of sounded like Madoka, but I held and I got it right before they revealed who it was. I heard a light voice that sounded like a bell ringing through the darkness and turned toward its source. And the person I found standing there was my daughter Miyuki.
もう引き継ぎの業務は来週からって話でしょ。相変わらずワーカホリックだな。お医者さんにまた怒られちゃうよ。
ああ、すまん。
I immediately apologized without thinking, but then I quickly noticed. This is a confidential office in the public security department. Shouldn't there be a stricter security?
みゆき、どうやってここに入った？
Owned.
部外者のお前は立ち入り禁止のはずだが。
加納さんにお願いして入れてもらったの。何か問題が？
大ありだ。
The police department has very strict regulations. Even if she's my daughter, everyone involved will be strictly reprimanded for a violation of this kind. But senpai, why would you willingly disobey that rule?
あれ？お父さんにはまだ連絡行ってなかった？私来月から公安部に異動になったのよ。
Boom! There you go, taking after your father already.
配属先はここ。第7室だって。
I foolishly raised my voice as I watched my daughter point her finger toward the ground. This was the first I'd heard of it. How had I not heard anything about this personal assignment until now? Whoa!
移動までの短い期間、引き継ぎとご指導をよろしく
That
お願いします。
Miyuki jump scare? Look at those purple eyes.
どうぞお手柔らかに。
Miyuki strained to muster a salute as she said that and flashed me a shameless smile. When I saw that, I knew exactly who was responsible for this.
やられた。
This first has to be one last act of mischief from Kano-senpai. Imagining the grin on his face was nauseating.
何？
いや、なんでもない。
Still, even though she used to be such a cute little girl, she's getting stronger every year, and cheekier. And she's married. How on earth did she grow up to have so many of these odd quirks?
そりゃあ親が親ですから。
Stop reading minds, it's weird.
私に言われても困ります。
Never do that to me again.
ほら、口にしていない言葉を先読みするんじゃない。
だって顔がそう言ってるし。
I wonder if this is just rubbing it in. Because for the longest time, I thought there was something to the characters just reading Keiichi's mind in the main story, in the question arts. But apparently it is just him being super expressive. But I seriously thought like that as a theory. I was putting that into theory making. It's weird as fuck, dude, to be honest. But whatever. actual Rita jump scare. What the fuck was that? You're lucky I had my mic muted. Another face overlapped with my daughter's face and disappeared just as quickly. Indeed, something like this happened long ago, and that was the moment I decided I would stand up and fight to reveal the mysteries of Hinamizawa. Yes, that's right, it's not over yet. As long as I don't give up, as long as my will never gives out, the possibility of finding the truth will always be greater than zero. Even if I'm leaving this post halfway through, my own daughter, Miyuki, is coming here to take my place. Have you ever heard of Hinamizawa? Would you like to become Hinamizawa pilled and spend the rest of your life trying to answer the mystery, but probably never will? It's really fun! And that's why she was super into it from Yodoishi. Plus, you know, her normal mission. I want to believe in this fate. No, I will believe in it. I swear that in my heart as I turn to face her. That was a cute one. Miyuki and Rita jump scare. You love to see it. Oh, on to the final one. This is actually after, or this is around Yodoishi, which is an arc we did 2 arcs ago, so with the adult Mion and stuff. Well, adult Shion, technically. Summer 2006. I didn't realize that Yodoishi arc was in the same time frame as, No, it can't be. Tazato Sato was literally an old man while he was, like, kinda young in Sumitsushi. Ooh, it is a Miyuki-centric one. Look at the old Hinamizawa. I did comment when we were playing Yodoishi. I thought they did a great job, like, just changing the background to make Hinamizawa look a little more ancient. Standing at the top of the hill, I stretched my arms out wide and took a deep breath to fill my lungs with the fresh air. A serene countryside landscape was laid out right before my eyes, and the distinctive thatch roof houses were beautifully peppered throughout the landscape. It was far more spectacular than I expected, and I couldn't help but let out a sigh. Split up and look for clues. It's a classic move, okay? As I said that, I looked off in the direction I expected my father to be. Of course, there's no way I could see him from here, but I could just picture him furrowing his brow as he sifted through the case files, and I immediately burst out laughing. My father is currently heading off to survey the swamp allegedly to be the source of the volcanic gas. He called it the Onigafuchi swamp. Nowadays, the land is buried in concrete. It's a huge vacant lot in the middle of the forest. So I waved goodbye to the breathtaking scenery and went back the way I came. Luscious greenery was growing in the grassy fields along the way. The bright sunshine was brilliantly reflected in the raindrops and that had fallen last night. When I stepped onto the soft grass, my feet sank in up to my ankles and water began pouring, and that always sucks, man. Unlucky. Oh my god, is that the legendary shed? I just see a pitch black, filthy stone lantern in a clearing up ahead. In the old days, there were tons of plants spread throughout the lawns and gardens, with clusters of cedar trees standing against the backdrop of pines in the forest. But now the area was covered in tall weeds. It wasn't all different from the flatlands deep in the mountains. I continued taking pictures as I made my way to the main shrine and stopped in front of the ritual storehouse. The latch on the door was broken, and I caught a glimpse of the dark interior through the gap between the doors. According to the materials I read beforehand, a variety of unsavory tools and instruments were stored within.
撮影いい
Oh,
のかな
sure it is.
罰当たったりしないかな
Actually good meme. I love, give me Tatano-centric memes. I'll compliment it fully.
Yep.
Better sense than Tatano. Wink, wink. After briefly getting lost in thought, I decided to leave the area for now. I had already been in there once to take a glimpse, but even I couldn't bring myself to go in again all on my own.
それにしても建物って人がいなくなるとこんなにも朽ち果てちゃうんだね。普段は人が住まない神社もしかりか。
I let out a sigh as I started at the main hall. The paint was bare from weather exposure, and the decorative brackets were covered in rust, and the wooden parts were, needless to say, even worse.
さてと次はどこに行こうかな。
Keiichi's house. You'll find nothing there, but it would be cool. I took a seat under the shrine gate and then pulled a map of the village out of my breast pocket and spread it out before me. It was a computer-generated map I was able to design based on the surveying conducted by my father and his fellow detectives. At the end result was pretty impressive. When my technology-inept father first saw it, he said, "You chose the wrong career path. You'd make a lot more money working for a design company." Still, even if he had said that sort of thing earlier on, it wouldn't have changed my mind. Indeed, it might have been a bit overblown to say, but I believe that I was born to be a detective. And I came to this village in order to succeed my father's will.
今は古出神社だから。
I looked up at the sun high in the sky to confirm the appropriate direction, and then I turned my gaze down toward the map spread out in front of me and pulled a pen out of my breast pocket. It's a deep pocket, man. She just keeps pulling stuff out of it. Alright, final file. The alarm rang out just as I checked my watch. It was time to meet my father. I descended the stone steps of the Fude Shrine, straddled the folding bike parked there, and headed toward this former Sonozaki main building. When I arrived at the meeting place, my father was resting after finishing his investigation. Then we exchanged materials to ensure we didn't miss anything in our respective investigations. Yeah, that should be good for now. After this, we'll report our findings at Oishi-san's grave. No, rip Oishi, my boy. Before returning to Tokyo, he was a friend of my father from Hinamizawa. I'm sure he'll be pleased.
あれその携帯電話通じるんですか
Just a moment ago, I noticed the man my father referred to as Captain talking on his phone. I waited until he finished his call to ask about it. For a moment, he made a face that said, "What are you talking about?" But he quickly understood what I meant and responded, "Yes."
確かこの村のエリアって中継基地がないんですよ
Man has military-grade
それ
phones.
でもここだと電波が届くんですか
違いますよ。これ衛星携帯
Bro, that's what I said. That's what I said. I knew it. The captain pulled the phone from his breast pocket and handed it to me as he said that. It looked like an ordinary cell phone at first glance, but I didn't recognize the design, and the manufacturer was someone I'd never heard of.
通信衛星を使っていますので、海上でも通信することができます。もっとも結構な値段なので、海外旅行でもしない限り個人使用には向きませんけどね。
なんだそれなら私も契約して持ってくればよかったな
If I had, it would have solved a lot of our problems last night. I could have avoided getting civilians involved in a dangerous situation and saved myself from all that cold sweat.
いや、違うか。
It's because of that time that a life that didn't need to die was saved, and a future that would have only led to despair at the end of suffering was cleared. It was nice to think of. Ah! What was it nice to think of? It was nice to think of the end result of something like that. Okay.
ちょっとそれお借りしてもいいですか？
いいですけど、何に使われるんですか？
This shit's worth more than your life.
実は
I'm joking.
ちょっと一件上司から急ぎで連絡しろって言われてた案件を思い出しまして、本当はホテルに戻ってから電話するつもりだったんですけど、結局丸2日空けちゃいましたから。
ああ、そうなんですか。それならどうぞ。
Since it was for official purposes, the captain had no reason to refuse, so he agreed to let me use it. I said excuse me for a moment, then walked a short distance away and called my director. Unfortunately, the director was far more upset than I expected. I bowed my head, not that the director could see it, and explained the situation, but then she said send the data and report immediately, and hung up on me. I couldn't help but sigh. I remembered using the data I created for tomorrow's meeting materials until the morning of 2 days ago. I worked all night to finish it, so all I had to do was just send it over. However, I caught wind that Ryonosuke-san, I mean, Mr. Arakawa, that's our boy, was heading to Hinamizawa to investigate, and I was so focused on getting ready to depart that I forgot all about it. Fortunately, I bought a PDA to document all the information, but for now it can't be helped. It's a pain, but I guess I should head back to Okinomiya for now. And when I told my father I was heading back early, the captain handed me back the satellite phone I just returned to him and then told me a convenient alternative. Oh my god, we're shilling for future cell phones. True, based. I heckin' love phones. What luck. I took him on his kindness once again and then pulled my PDA and communication cable out of my knapsack. Although I had a modem and adapter cable designed for cell phones, but maybe they'll be compatible with this satellite phone. It can do anything. I prayed as I lined the cable up with the socket on the satellite phone, then heard the click of a successful connection. Then I booted up my PDA, connected the other end of the cable, and launched the mail application. Oh my god. Gotta keep the mouse on, so for some reason, if you take it off and you click and you don't keep it on for a little bit, the enter key will not work. It's weird. Yep, looks like it's working.
そうだ。これも私のサバードに送っておこうかな。ついでに見ない室長にも。
With that, she's alive. Or it could be Madoka. It's probably Tomoe. Oh my god, is her boss Tomoe? That's crazy. Or Madoka, but we're praying for Tomoe's survival. She said it can wait until you head back, but I wanted to get it to her as soon as possible, even if it's just one day. After all, this evidence corroborates what Director Minai has been saying for years. Okay, hold on. As a precaution, I told the director to confirm she received the files and closed my PDA. That's a nice little surprise. At least she lives sometimes. And then I returned the phone to the captain with a skip in my step, thinking of what I could do to repay him for his help. I came back to the Furude Shrine once more just before dusk. I passed through the remains of the garden and the shrine grounds and walked through a pine forest growing like weeds. From the top of this hill, I could see the entire village stained in a dusky vermilion hue. I carefully checked the rail to make sure it would hold, then leaned out over the edge of the hill. A strong wind blew up from the base of the cliff, running a refreshing chill along my sweaty body. What that? We get to use a CG? It's kind of hype. This is the place of destiny. My father left a lot of thoughts here. In the end, my father didn't come here. At first, I wondered if he was prioritizing the efficiency of the investigation, but when I asked him to come here again, that's when I finally realized. He can't come here. This was the hill where a little girl asked my father for help, and his inability to fulfill that promise is a wound that can never heal. Auto? Why is it unplugged? Wait for it. There we go. Damn, I wish I had this plugged in. We could have done it for the Rita jump scare too. I softly whispered the girl's name. One day long ago, my father told me he met a girl in Hinamizawa who was like an angel, and her childlike heart truly touched him. Then I said I wanted to be friends with this girl. Hey, that's directly from Himitsubushi. At that time, I had no idea how much sorrow those innocent words would inflict on my father. I once again turned to gaze at the village. Looking more closely, there's a section of the field that was greener on one side, indistinguishable from the muddy, algae-filled reserve beside it. The straw-proof residential houses still retain their original shape, even though there's no longer anyone living here. The village of the dead, where their spirits still dwell. A living hell of a tragedy that happened here over 20 years ago. The truth of that is still unknown. Rumors and speculations are still flying around, doubting the presence of volcanic gas, but nothing has quite hit the mark. The lives lost and the time past will never come back. The hopes and dreams of over 2,000 villagers. Those calm, peaceful days that truly existed over 20 years ago. Those are already just visions of the past. Only archaeologists are interested in conducting academic investigation of this place, so there's nothing left to heal the pain of and regret of the people who were hurt. But even so, my father has dedicated the rest of his life to shining a light on this incident. Even though he is leaving his job in public security to take the role of a principal of the police academy, my father is still pressing onward down the thorny path to atone for the past. Never! Sorry. I gently whispered those words to the wind, speaking to the person who might be in the sky now. But of course, there's no reply. That too was only for my own self-satisfaction. How did this tragedy... Oh. Hey, it's the lines. She's plagiarized. But even today, I would gladly keep sending these messages, even if they never reach anyone. Can't do that shit. Anyways, that's the police files. It's fun. It's a little thing. I can see why Fwaffle said you can probably read it after your Doishi, since I don't really think this added too much. Besides the, besides the Manai bit. The Manai bit was nice. You wouldn't have got that if you haven't read Sumitsushi or whatever the other one is. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And next time we will be checking out the next arc, whatever that is. But yeah, until then, see ya.